Make the best recreation of the Taskmaster House. Best recreation wins. You have 6 months. Your time starts now. Obviously, I put no effort into this. That's gone. Oh, okay, that just hit my dog. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She's fine. So today in The Sims 4, we're going to be building the Taskmaster House. I've actually already built it because I have so much to say about this show. There's no way I'd be able to build and talk at the same time because I would have to think about building. I started this in November. It's now May. That's why I gave myself 6 months. We should be good time-wise. I started this and then something happened where it didn't save. I didn't want to show you a version that wasn't saved, and then I also didn't want to record it again because I was very annoyed. So I redid the shell, and you wouldn't know it from looking at it, but this took forever to get the spacing just right, so it just wasn't interesting to watch because I was building and tearing things down a lot, moving it around a little bit, moving one tile here and there, trying to get the placement of the dome and the caravan. So anyways, shell is basically done. Now I'm just adding some decorations to the outside, and then we are going to be looking at the inside mostly. So while this build is going on, I am going to blab about Taskmaster because I'm obsessed with this show and I just need to talk about it with someone, and I don't have anyone in my life who watches this show. Luckily, we do have 2 podcasts about the show, so that's been great for me. And so if you are not familiar with the show, first of all, you need to be. In the US, you can watch it all on YouTube for free, which is amazing. Basically, this show is 5 British comedians are filmed separately doing all these stupid little tasks like get this ball over here, you can't touch the ball, stuff like that. Does it sound riveting? So they're filmed doing all these stupid things, and then they get together for a studio record, watching it together and getting points for how well they did. So when they're all together, they see how other people did things, and there's a lot of times little tricks that some people didn't see and others did. And so it's really fun to see them all react to each other's tasks. Greg Davis is the taskmaster, and he judges them on how well they did and gives points, and then at the end there's a winner. There's 10 episodes in most series. The first 2 have less. And then of course Alex Horn is the taskmaster's assistant. He's the one who's there with them, telling them the tasks or giving them the tasks. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about the structure, because if you're watching this, you probably watch Taskmaster. If you're watching this just because you like my videos, I appreciate it, thanks. I started watching this show just 1 year ago, and I've watched all 21 series. I think we're on series 21 right now. All the Champion of Champions. I'm now watching New Zealand. I'm on series 5 of New Zealand, and Australia's got to be next for me. And then I will run out of English-speaking Taskmaster shows, I think. That will be very sad, but there's so many that I think I can go back to watching the UK one again and I'll be okay. I actually started watching in series 19. Being American, I knew Jason Mantzoukas, and so when I saw that he was on it, and I keep seeing clips of this show, I need to just watch it, because you see things on Instagram and Facebook over the years, and I'm that show looks really funny, I should watch it. But I didn't listen to that voice in my head until later than it should have been. I could have been watching this show for many years. And I literally almost never know anyone on the show. I've never heard of these people. Most of them, I can give you maybe a handful of people that I had heard of. People from the Bake Off, Ian Sterling from Love Island, the 2 American people, Kumail Nanjiani and Jason Mantzoukas. I don't know who these people are, and it's still hilarious. It's still so funny. You really don't need to know who they are before you watch the show. I had never heard of Greg Davis or Alex Horn either. Anyways, there's a lot of times where they're talking about people on the show that are these huge gets, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got this person on the show, and everyone's starstruck on the cast, and I'm I feel they were like that with Sally Phillips and Jack D, and I'm I've never heard of him, still never seen him do anything other than Taskmaster. I'm caught up on the Taskmaster podcast with Ed Gamble. I am now listening to the People's Podcast, and I'm I don't know, I'm in year 2023, I think. So obviously the show and the house have changed a little bit over the years, over the series. We didn't used to have the dome outside. The shed used to be over here by this platform, and now it's over by the caravan, it looks like. And they move things around sometimes. So I've just kind of combined some of the things that, like, if I think of the Taskmaster House, I think of the shed being over here by this platform. I think of the dome being there. I don't know what to call it, but there's a new thing in this area between the platform and the building here. I don't know what they call it. It's like a trailer. There's seats and a table in it. And they've used it as like a takeout counter before. So yeah, I don't know what to call that, but I did not include that. It doesn't mean as much to me as like the shed and the caravan and the dome, I guess. Like everyone who watches Taskmaster, I want to be on it so bad. It has me rethinking my career. I'm a veterinarian and I'm like, should I be a British comedian though? Should I go that route so I can be on Taskmaster? Probably not a good idea to switch careers over this, but I do love it that much. I think I would be so good at it in some cases. I think I'd be really good at tasks that are like puzzly. Realistically, when I think about it, if they were to hand me a task that said I had to write a song and I had an hour, if I had like 10 minutes, then I'd be like, okay, everyone's is gonna be terrible. Sure, pump something out. But when they do a creative task and they're like, you have 1 hour, I would probably cry because I just can't. I can't be creative under pressure, and I can't act or like do stuff like that. That would be horrible for me. So yeah, it's probably not worth changing my career over. Maybe I'd be better off getting the board game. I did look into it. The shipping was a little much, so I am going to the UK soon, and I might have it shipped to my friend who might be hearing about this for the first time if she watches this video. I did just pre-order the advent calendar for this year. I didn't do the one last year, but I'm very excited about it. That will be fun. The problem is nobody I know watches Taskmaster in real life, so I don't know who would play that game with me. Whatever, I'll make them play it. It's fine. And you know what's really sad? I got on the email list for the advent calendar so I could pre-order it, and I also get emails for the live recordings. And so I got an email about the live recordings happening like next week in London for the next series, which is going to be series 22. And I got a ticket just in case. I mean, it was £15. I lost the money. I can't go. The flights are so expensive. I used to live in London. I know how much an average flight there costs. They're like double what I'm used to paying. And I'm just like, I can't do that if I'm not even visiting people I know in the UK. Like, I didn't clear those dates with them or anything, so I'm like, I can't just go there for Taskmaster as much as I would love to. I'm gonna be really sad when I watch the episode that I would have been at the recording for. It would have been episode 3, I think. It was like the second day morning or like earlier session. Anyways, I would love to be at one of the live recordings someday. We'll see. They're not that frequent because there's only 10 a year. Oh, but they do have the New Year's treat too. I don't know who those people are. I have watched the New Year's treat ones too, and I didn't know who any of the people were on those. What's her name? Claudia Winkleman with the hair, the bangs. I like see her everywhere. I've never actually seen her in anything. So there's a few episodes. We don't see this often, but there seems to be like a secret room behind the caravan that they sometimes use very infrequently. I can think of like 2 instances where they used it. And one was when they had to sit on a cake, and then they had like the secret cake room back here, and there was a chair with a cake on it. So I decided to recreate that lovely moment in here. Throughout the build, there's a few references to specific tasks, but there's also just some like random stuff around because obviously the house is very whimsical, lots of weird stuff in there. I feel like they used to do a lot more tasks outside. Is that just me? Am I just imagining that? Like, I feel like they used to just be in the yard a lot. I'm sorry, the garden. We're British here. We have to say the garden. Last year, I did a daily reel on my Exit advent calendar, which Exit, the game, is an escape board game. And that was really fun doing that. And like, I really enjoyed doing the game, but I don't have to record it if people don't want to see it. So let me know if you would be interested in watching the Taskmaster Advent Calendar. It would probably be a short every day rather than a long form video. But I mean, I'm gonna do it regardless of whether or not people watch. So let me know if you want to see that. I wish I could get the hexagon pattern on the dome, but when you put that pattern on a rounded glass roof, it's very funky. So I just decided to go with the plain lines on that. And since this roof, there's really no way to make a door in that I know of in The Sims. So I didn't put like a task in there, anything that Sims would need to get to. But this house isn't really for like residential Sims, you know? It's for the Taskmaster show production. But technically, this is a house. It does have everything a human in the real world or a Sim would need to live a happy, healthy life. And obviously, with this being a real house, a real building, it was tricky to get the dimensions exactly right. You'll see kind of in the hallway and stuff, like, I don't know, I can't get it 100% exactly like the house. I did my best, all right? I am really loving the current series, like I had mentioned with Kumail Nanjiani, and see, I don't know these people, so I don't remember their last names. We have Amy, Armando, Joanna, and Joel. Joel, right? His name is Joel. But I am loving this. I feel like the cast is so good. It's been awesome. And there was an episode recently where they were playing, we call it squishy sardines. I forget what they called it, like sardines in a can or something. I don't know, whatever, sardines in a tin, something like that. But we call it squishy sardines over here. And playing that's so funny that they just played like a regular kids game of like hide and seek basically. But that was such a good episode for building this because I was in the middle of building this and then they show them like running around the entire property. So it was like, perfect. What a great way to see everything. I feel like every episode this series has just like been a banger. They're so good. I don't know. I can't remember if the phone booth is still there. I know they had it for a little bit. They had that one task where they had to like conceal themselves in the phone booth. And then I feel like they've used it maybe just as background stuff, but I feel like they've used it for other stuff too. And then the garage, or the garage if you're British. The garage they haven't used in a long time, I feel like. I think the last time I remember seeing that is when they had the hand task where they had all the hands on the walls and they had to find their hand. There may have been one in there since then, but that's the last one I remember. They only used it a couple series. I don't know, we haven't seen the garage a lot, but I included it because it's there. The kitchen is pretty boring, pretty simple, basic kitchen. They don't really have anything funky in there. You know, like the living room is like all decked out in the theme, but that's really the only room in the house that's themed, isn't it? They do some decorations outside. I do feel like the kitchen turned out really good, and maybe it's because it is just like a boring kitchen. Nothing too exciting in there, but it was very easy to do. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it. Just base game, kitchen stuff. And because I don't know any of these people before they go on the show, I don't remember all their names, so I apologize if I bring people up and I can't remember their name like I'm gonna do right now. When there was that team task it was in a recent season and they were in the kitchen and it said like you couldn't open cupboards or you could only open one or something like that. They're like done with the task and in the background he just like opens a cupboard for no reason and they lose. That was hilarious. I love when stuff like that happens, when they just have no idea that they've just done something that either when they win on accident because they did the secret thing that you didn't know you had to do or said the word without figuring it out, or the opposite where they just lose because they accidentally did the thing that they were told not to do. Again, I don't know, maybe I'm just imagining this, but I also feel like they don't use the kitchen as much as they used to. This series, they haven't done anything where people are like making food for Alex or something like that. Maybe he decided he didn't want to eat weird stuff anymore. Which would be totally fair. I love how, like, I listen to the podcast. Like, anytime a little interview with Greg or Alex comes up, of course I watch it. And they just seem like such nice people. And, like, the whole cast or the whole crew, everyone always says that, like, the crew is just amazing and so nice. And it just is, it's heartwarming to know that as fun as this show is to watch, it seems that it's equally fun, or probably a lot more fun, for them to produce. I love that. This little entryway I could not get to be just the right dimensions. I do hate that I can't do that, but I can't. You know what? It just didn't work out. And they changed the floor a lot too, but I just went with the classic black and white checkered floor. I know they've had that before. I think that was what it was in the beginning. And for the portraits of Greg, I did check the gallery. I couldn't find anything. There could be portraits of Greg and Alex on there somewhere. Well, I guess we don't need any of Alex, but I couldn't find any paintings of Greg on the gallery in The Sims, so I just decided to use these pictures from Paranormal Stuff. Claude Rene Duplantier, Guidry, whatever. I chose to use this guy because there's multiple versions of his portrait, so then I was able to use a different one in the living room. And obviously he does not look like Greg, but I didn't really feel like any of the pictures I have in my game looked like him. So I did my best. This is the fictional Sims universe Taskmaster with whatever Claude guy is the Taskmaster. In this bathroom, ideally this wall would be pushed back and this would be like a 2-tile bathroom, but that just doesn't really work in The Sims. And also we have that one task, and I can't remember who it was and why they were doing it, but it was someone was showing how when you flush the toilet, you can see what comes out in the little drain outside. So for that reason, we have to have the window in the bathroom because Alex was looking out the window. You get it. You know what I mean. So I felt like we had to include the window in the bathroom. And then we also had that one task where I'm thinking of tasks that were bathroom related. There's not a lot. They don't usually go or like show the bathrooms. But there was also that one where they had the text written on the toilet paper and they had to get the toilet paper roll on something else. I'm really good at explaining these tasks, aren't I? I don't have to do it, Alex Horn does. But I just tried to make a pretty generic bathroom. They don't have anything exciting in there from what I've seen. So boring, basic bathroom, and you might need to go in there for a task, but you probably won't. Yeah, I didn't even put any artwork in the bathroom. We're keeping it boring in there. And then coming over to this room, according to floor plans that I looked up for the house, that may or may not be correct, there's another bathroom over here, possibly. But I decided to make another bathroom because I have heard through the podcast and behind the scenes stuff that there is another bathroom, but that they like don't use it and that it's just for production stuff. So I decided to put a whole desk in here, computer. I put a box of random crap in the bathtub that they probably use for tasks, and a cork board. I mean, what I'm thinking is that this would have like ideas on it and like planning stuff. Not postcards, but whatever. We have postcards on there. And then this item from Snowy Escape, I like it because it looks kind of like a schedule. It says it's the daily menu though, so it's a menu. But I like it because it kind of looks like a schedule, and I like that for them, for the Taskmaster production team. A few notebooks and some newspapers on the floor, just like to show papers scattered around. I picture them being kind of just scatterbrained, stuff everywhere, maybe. Of course, we have pops of red here and there, signature Taskmaster color. Sometimes they wear production supplied boots, so I put some of those by the door. And here we have a different portrait of this guy, Claude, whatever. And then in the living room, on the one wall, we have it's filled with bookshelves, but they're like fake bookshelves. And then on the other side, we have drawers, but they're fake drawers. I did my best. We have to use real ones because I don't have a wallpaper that can recreate that in The Sims. I did add the cameras from Get Famous. I love when I can do that. I put those in my Love is Blind build too, when it's like a TV show and I can actually add cameras like that. And the cow rug just felt right. They may or may not have had a cow rug in there before. And I pulled out every little red circular item I could find to see if I could make like the seal on the letter. Couldn't really, I came up with something, but I was trying, I'm like, can I like raise something up through the table to look like that? Because I feel like I had to have at least one envelope with the circle, you know? And I'm so annoyed that now in this event that we have right now, the Bridgerton kits that just came out, we have a login event in The Sims. And on week 4, we're going to be getting a letter that has a red seal, and it's perfect, but it also looks like it has a little pin in it, so it looks like it's going to be something you hang on the wall. I still would have loved to include it in this build, but I don't want to wait until week 4 of this event because the show is going to be done, and I want to put this out before this series is over, you know? Don't want to miss the moment. So yeah, I'm a little sad that I can't include that in this build, but I can always put it in later and show you guys. This is the best thing that I came up with for this, was putting this white box, raising it up. I think I sized it down too. And then I sized a bar stool down as much as I could. And there you go. From far away, it looks like a Taskmaster task, right? Completely. I did find one item that I didn't know I had before that has a letter on top of like a stack of stuff that has the red seal. So after we finish the build here, I'm going to go back in, do a tour with you, and then see if that item would be better. So we'll check it out. We'll see if that would be a better option for this. And we know that that area is just a closet in the hallway. from the infamous Alex Feeling Up Mel Gingrich there. Don't know if I said her name right. That was when they were playing like hide and seek, weren't they? Yeah. So for the like theme of this Taskmaster House, you know how they have like a theme every series. So the theme for this Taskmaster series in the game that is theoretical here is just the Sims. So lots of like Sims lore, that kind of thing. We have cow plants, freezer bunnies. There's a lot of raccoons in the Sims. Bella Goth on the wall. Don Lothario's pictures, we'll have those in there too, but you know, stuff that's just classic Sims, gnomes. So also things that feel like Taskmaster, like cows. Linda the cow, they said something about her being retired now or like replaced by the sheep, so I don't know if she's gone. That's very sad if she is. But I couldn't find any cows in my game to put out there as Linda, so I could not include Linda the cow. I'm so sorry. Of course, we do have cows in the game, but they have to be in their barn, and their barns are so huge that I did not want to take up space with that. And to get the drawers, I did this coffee table. It's 2 tiles wide, but I overlapped it, so there's 4 there. So I'm currently watching the New Zealand series 5, and I'm actually on the last episode. Like, stopped watching that show to do this. This is how dedicated I am to Taskmaster, and I'm listening to the podcast every chance I get. It's a lot, but I'm so glad that there's so much Taskmaster stuff out there for me to watch and listen to and consume. I was really just trying to include anything that felt whimsical and fun. I think this thing from the Decor to the Max kit felt like something that would be in there. Just some random wall art over here. The guitar, the Freezer Bunny guitar, because we definitely have a lot of musical tasks. I think I would be really good at the prize tasks. Sometimes I get really annoyed with how crappy they are, because I'm like, you've had months to think about this, and this is what you brought in. I would be mad. I would be scoring people very harshly on those because of that. I think I could be a very good, harsh Taskmaster, just really judging people. Maybe one day. US Taskmaster, I think they tried that and it was bad and didn't air or something, or they only had one, I don't know. It was really fun decorating this room because I felt just like anything I wanted to use, anything weird could go in here. I used a lot of the fake art from Businesses and Hobbies that like Trashly gives you. So they're like the art pieces in the base game Sims, but with like a weird twist. So that was perfect. The chicken is actually a duck, which is perfect for Taskmaster. And then there's a lot of raccoon stuff. So the raccoon head on the wall became available in base game debug when we got the Adventure Awaits pack, but I don't know like if your Sims can make those in base game. I'm a little confused on that, but oh well. Anyways, those are in debug, and I just kept adding weird stuff. I love the mannequin with the googly eyes. That is perfect. I think this room looks so good. I think the whole house, honestly, I'm very proud of this build, okay? Except for the kitchen because it's boring, or like the bathroom. I think you look at any space in this house and you would know if you watch Taskmaster what this is. So I'm very happy with it. Lots of figurines. And they use all these things. These are important. These aren't just for decoration. The weirder stuff you put in there, the better your show's gonna be, because everyone's gonna use the weird stuff in the room. I just added some metal folding chairs for the crew. I feel like they're not fancy here. I feel like they probably do have crappy chairs that they sit on while they're filming tasks. I like watching the really long puzzly tasks in this where they have to like do one thing to get something else, or like they've had like escape room kind of ones. I really enjoy those. I like watching those. I also like when they have to do something and then bring it in kind of like a prize task, or like when they have to do something like in the real world before the studio record. Those are always fun. And we do have a rubber duck in The Sims, so I was able to add rubber ducks all over the place, which was great. I actually didn't know that before searching duck. And the Comfy Gamer Kit has so much fun Sims referencey stuff. So we have Bella Goth in the rocket. We have the Freezer Bunny getting abducted in the lamp. There's also a lot of like llama stuff in The Sims. So I have the llama picture in the living room, and then out here, the grilled cheese. It's just perfect for this. I mean, I used a lot of that kit out here in the entryway. And then I feel like the walls are just very gallery wall-y, like they just have a lot of stuff on the walls. So I made a gallery wall on the big long wall in the hallway. And then I just added some plants to the front entryway, and I realized that I have this cow plant skull, which is just perfect for this show and for this build. And then I've thought this is the perfect opportunity to use the dogs playing, what do they call it? Llama, Don't Wake the Llama. To have a picture of the dogs playing Don't Wake the Llama. I never use that because when there's no opportunity to use that picture. So perfect for this build, weird, whimsical, random. I was looking at using the Freezer Bunny decals, but I hate using the decals. They just look so cheesy, so I decided to get rid of those. And look at this gallery wall I put together through multiple pictures and gallery walls. Love it. I used the raccoon gallery wall from Businesses and Hobbies. And then getting the layout of this area was a little tricky. So we have the lab in the back. The area between the lab and the hallway, I'm not 100% sure what happens there. But we definitely have a shelf there because they sometimes grab stuff from the shelf. There's always a chicken on the shelf too. Like across multiple series, they've had chickens on this shelf in this little hallway. So I definitely made sure to include that. And I decided to do the kind of tarps along the walls with the Desert Luxe curtains. And I used a pre-dirtied tarp in here because it gets messy in the lab a lot. I think the lab would be a room where I'd like be excited when the task is in there. Sometimes they do mix it up though and do like a creative task in the lab. But I feel like generally the lab is like doing something physical with a short time span. Joanna said on Ed Gamble's podcast recently, she was like, I didn't like the scary room, and that was the living room, because she said they would be like creative tasks in there. And I feel like I can relate to that, but that also feels like that's the room. That's like what you think of first, or at least what I think of first is that room. So I don't know, guys. If I was there, I could tell you more. We had that task that was one of my favorite tasks of all time, which was find out the person's name in the lab, and then it was twins and they were switching places. That was amazing. But they discovered her in this little like nook here, so I just put a chair back there for twins to sit while they're waiting for their turn at a task. And then, like I said, I did add a chicken to that shelf and then just kind of covered it back up with the curtain. And the kitchen I really just filled with generic kitchen stuff. Not a lot of like Taskmaster references in here, but that's just the way the kitchen is in the show. Not much I can do about that. I did make sure to include a kettle. Of course, British people need their kettles. So I was listening to the People's podcast recently, and the data that Jack brought in was about tea, or like if players come in with a cup of tea, how do they do? And apparently, like, typically they do better when they come in with a drink. But I love when they come in with a cup of tea, because I'm just, in my head, I'm like, this is so cute and wholesome that you're just like ready to have your cup of tea and it looks so cozy, but realistically you are not going to be able to drink that tea. And I just think it's so funny that they're even allowed to bring it in, that no one's like, oh no, you won't be able to drink that in there. They're like, yep, got my tea, going in, and then it's like run around as fast as you can for 10 minutes. So I love when they have a drink in there. And I love the idea of like being on Taskmaster and just like getting my coffee and going in, doing my task, but that's not reality. That's not how it works. Now I want to know, stats wise, but this you'd have to ask people, how many people who brought a drink into a task were able to finish that drink? Because I would imagine almost never. So once in a while they get in here and they like bake something or cook something. I added the like messy flour and eggs bit on the counter there. Put some cookies, a kitchen timer, some mugs, classic kitchen stuff, but also stuff that feels like they would have on Taskmaster. The kitchen seems to actually have like a cow print floor at the moment, but I just added the red circles. Anywhere we can add red circles works for this. Okay, so these two rooms, I'm doing something different here. In these two rooms, I imagine one of them is like the dressing room for the contestant, and then another room is like production space or break, whatever. I've decided to make these bedrooms for Alex and Greg. Clearly, they live at the Taskmaster House, and this is their life. So, of course, I'm sorry. I feel mean doing this, but it just felt right. This is Alex's room. It's going to be really run down and shabby. And that's not going to be the case with Greg's room. So I gave him his little laptop so he can write tasks. And then I decided to also put in like an alarm clock and the little kitchen timer, because he loves keeping time. That's his hobby. That's why he got into this, I think. It came from a love of timing things. One little rack for his suits. And then I just gave him a little suitcase. So, you know, he's on the go sometimes. Maybe when they're not filming, he goes home to his wife and family, but otherwise he has to stay here. Of course, the iPad, we have to give him his tablet. He needs that. Very important. And I decided to give Greg a window and not Alex. And I also decided to be extra mean and put a bunch of like pipes in his room. It's like the water heaters going in here, things that you normally wouldn't want in a bedroom. Of course, I had to add some cracks on the walls. This room has never been repaired. Just made it look very rundown, simple. That's it. That's all he gets. I love how on the show there's kind of this like, they make it out like Greg writes the tasks, but then we all know that he doesn't, but they don't even pretend in the studio recording. He has no idea why Alex is. It's just funny that they do both. They do at the time of recording the task, Greg has written the task, and then in the studio, Greg is like, Alex, why did you write this task? It's just funny that they don't keep that up at all. So in here, I'm going for more of like the studio recording look with the red, black, and gold. Just going for like fancy red, black, evil room here. And I like the idea that Greg is just like in here while they're doing all this. And of course I wanted to put his throne in here. I'm so mad that I don't, but I in my game do not have a good red chair with a very gold trim. So I looked through the chairs. I do have this one on the far left that's like a very weak red with a very weak gold trim, and there is one in the new pack, but I don't have it. In the Royalty and Legacies pack, there is a beautiful throne that's red with gold trim. Of course, that would be the perfect option, but I don't have it, okay? That's just the way it is. So I did my best. But you know what? This isn't like the throne. This is just like his mini home throne. This isn't like the recording throne. So I put this big TV in here with the gold frame, perfect for this look. In this scenario, he's just like laying in bed in like black silk pajamas, eating things that Alex brings him between tasks, and he's just like watching the contestants flail as they do the tasks live. That's the concept of this room. So this is a live feed to the tasks going on in the other room. And I put the bag of money up there. This vampire's lamp with the gold fringe was just perfect here. I tried like a red and black chair, but I did end up going back to the red and gold, if you can call it that. It's not quite red and gold, but it just didn't feel right to not include a red chair with gold trim. So for his ensuite bathroom, I decided to put a window into the lab, and this is like one way so he can watch people do tasks while he pees. Isn't that just lovely? And I've gone with a very ornate, fancy bathroom with this like marble wall that I never use because it's kind of weird. And like all the fanciest stuff, the gold toilet, the gold sink. I'm sure this is exactly what his house looks like, right? Originally, I thought this window's kind of dumb because you can't really see out of it with the toilet and sink there. Then I was like, duh, he's a man. He would be standing at the toilet, in which case that window would actually be perfect for him. What more could you want? Maybe a whole house that's not attached to this, but you know, you can't always get what you want, Greg. And since we have the window over there, I just put the mirror over by the toilet, but I do add a full-length mirror in his bedroom as well, so he doesn't really need a mirror above the sink. He'll be fine. Loving the way this is looking so far. Really, the inside is pretty much done. I do add a few little details still moving forward, but overall, that's it. And then we still have the caravan and the shed. Another task that I could think of in the garage was the one where they had to create a weather event for like a little town, right? And it looked kind of like this. So I used the Brindleton Bay like model in there. Just wanted to put one task in there. And so the front is just siding to look like a garage door, but then I did put a door on the side so that they could actually get in there. I would love to do the hand one. I looked up some hand art on the gallery, but it was just gonna take like so long to size down a million pictures and put them everywhere. That's a lot of work, guys. I'm no Alex Horn or Taskmaster production team member. I don't want to do that. I couldn't decide which gold head was best, but I did decide this one was the most like the prized gold head that the contestants win. I don't have a solid gold head in my game. So I decided to use this throne, just the best I could do. But I also decided we should give him a desk because, of course, the theme song opens with him typing out the tasks. So I gave him a red and gold typewriter, which is actually like a laptop in the game. But now he can sit in his room, type the tasks, and then maybe he goes and like shoves them under Alex's door, and then Alex scuttles out of his little cot and goes and gets the task. So moving on to the caravan. The caravan is also kind of boringly decorated. It's not that exciting in there, but we do have some decorations around the seats and like the front end of it. So I did 2 of these base game, very boring couches. And then I'm not totally sure if there's a bathroom in the caravan. If there is, I don't believe it's functional at all, but I couldn't remember. So I decided to include one that just has like a shower and a toilet, shower head, toilet, that's it. And then it looks like from the caravan they can get to that other secret room. So I just made another door in the bathroom. That's probably not accurate, but that's the way we're going to do it here. And we don't really see this side of the caravan very much over on the left. Unfortunately, the one episode where I can remember that we do see that side of the caravan is the one in series 20, I believe, where they have to do something that like make a noise that sounds bad but is actually something really nice, and then where Phil Ellis is like dipping his feet in gravy. It was awful to see, awful to reminisce about, and I had to look up that task again, and that's what came up right away. Because you could see that side of the caravan. It basically just looked like a little couch. Nothing exciting. Why was that so horrible? I hated that. I can't remember, but I hope he got 1 point for that. Who wants to dip your feet in gravy? And Ed Gamble hosts his podcast right here in the caravan, so we have a nice shot of that. I felt like these flip-flop lights really captured the essence of Taskmaster, so I decided to use those as our string lights there. I think theirs have like pineapples on them or something like that. Can't remember, honestly, which is sad because I just watched the podcast episode that came out yesterday, this morning, a few hours ago, and now I can't remember. And the table in here seems to change. I did love when Julian Cleary, his task in here where they had to come up with a nickname for themselves and then like live up to the nickname. And he was like, "I'm Butch," and banged on the table and it fell over and knocked the sign over. That was great. Loved that moment. We do have a bookcase over here, and then there's like shelves above each of the couches with stuff on it, so I'll get to decorate that. We have some like plain wood paneling here. I added the milk carton with Bella Goth on it, just like for a Sims reference there, but also the fruit bowl because of Noel Fielding doing his banana camouflage task. And I gotta say, I feel like that's a controversial one. I don't know if I feel like that counts as camouflage. Okay, that's special effects, right? It's been talked about on the podcast. I don't think they should have allowed him to use special effects there. My opinion. I've noticed they seem to have like a wedding picture in the caravan. I think it's in the caravan. It might be in the living room, but somewhere there's a wedding photo, and I'm curious whose wedding that is. Just added a little like table with plants and a book over here. I added the batfish on the wall just for something weird and whimsical, and then a few pillows over here to make this couch look a little less sad. And then in this room it seems to be all black in there, and then I did add a chair with a cake on it so that if your task is to sit on a cake, you have a cake to sit on. I wish I could use the white cakes that your sim actually makes, like the birthday cakes, because that's more what I want. But we do have this one that your sim can pop out of and size down. It looks like a normal cake, so I decided to put that one in here. And guys, don't worry, I have not forgotten that task originally came from Lisa Tarbuck asking Alex to sit on a cake. We're getting there. Don't worry. And it does seem to be a piano out here sometimes, not in all series, but it has happened. There's just a piano out back by the trees. And the shed, I just added a couple random shelves and a few random things to the walls. Nothing real specific like in the walls or on the shelves here, but in Taskmaster New Zealand they do have a fish poster in the shed as a reference, I believe, to Rose Metafay. I don't think that's actually something that all New Zealanders have in their shed, I don't know, but I added the fishing thing there, and I added the pool, which really looks like the pool they used for the infamous Champion of Champions episode where Ed Gamble takes, I don't know, what is it, like 2 hours to try and get the duck into the pond, and then he ends up beheading it and burying it, and it's like his greatest shame. So I thought we'd bring that out to honor him here. I added the pizza floaty just because it just felt like something they would have on Taskmaster. They haven't yet, But I wouldn't be surprised if on the next series they're like, that's a really good idea. We should have a pizza floaty out here for our contestants. And then, of course, the most famous thing that's happened in the shed is going to be Alex Horne sitting on a cake, pantsless. And yeah, so we do add a cake to the shed here. And just so you can see just that through the door. The basketball hoop I kind of added randomly, and then I remembered that Nish Kumar had that task where he kicked the basketball into the hoop, and then they replayed and showed that he did it like 80 times. That's an exaggeration, but you know, several times. Of course, Joe Wilkinson and the potato. We have to include that, and it's so luckily very easy to include in The Sims. We have a red green, we have a flagpole, we have a potato. The sheep seems to be featuring a lot in this series, so they have a sheep outside that the contestants keep using until Joanna broke it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they got another one. And so yeah, put the sheep here next to the knight, Ollie. Ollie made a reappearance too. He's been absent for a few seasons. I added the tiger to the piano. There was that one task where they had to add a tail to the magnificent animal or something. It was something like that. I don't know. Put a tiger on the piano, sure. We're gonna put patatas in the tree out here. And obviously the bathtub, so I put that just over here in the corner randomly. I was looking through the bathtubs to see which one looks the most like that one. There's, in Taskmaster, is all white, but it does have the claw feet. So I decided to go with none of the ones with the fancy stuff on them. So there's our famous Taskmaster bathtub. And I think this is probably not a task most people remember fondly like this, but I loved when Alice, and I forget her last name, when the task was to have as much fun as possible or something like that. And she sat in the bathtub and, was his name Russell, brought her wine. And I love that because the other team went crazy and like throwing balls and hoops and hula hoops and stuff everywhere. That's what you think of when you're like, have as much fun as possible. But that is not me at all. So if you told me, have as much fun as possible, I'd be like, do we have like a board game I can get out? Sitting in the bathtub with a glass of wine does sound way better than anything any of the other contestants did. And side note, I had a roommate in England who looked just like her and was named Alice and now does stand-up, which is very odd, but it was not her. I lived with her, so it definitely wasn't her. But anyways, just a fun fact. I looked through the statues that we have available and decided this was the best one to represent Greg. None of them were great, really. Another task that I absolutely loved was when they had to find all the ducks in the lab, but you couldn't see any. I would have loved this so much. Literally ripping up the floor, looking at the ceiling. I decided to hide a few ducks in here. So I have one under the table leg, which was a spot where there were ducks. They had to take off the little thing on the bottom of the table leg. And then I put the duck picture behind the curtain. You can see it, but it's just a nod to that task. I did end up using the rubber duck to make it a little more accurate. So we have a rubber duck under the leg of the table here. This is so dumb. Like nobody, I mean, you guys are seeing it now, but like you can't even see it, but it's just fun knowing that it's there. I put one behind the curtain as well. You can't see it, which I love, but it's just like right there. It actually would be fun, I think, to like hide stuff in a Sims build and then put it on the gallery and people can download it and then they have to find all the ducks or something. That would be a fun task. We could play Taskmaster in The Sims, guys. I don't really want to organize that. Somebody else organize it and I'll play it. And it just kept adding a few little weird things here and there that I kept like, I don't know, just random little decorative items. Of course, we need a basketball by the hoop. Didn't think about that right away, but there it is. And that is pretty much it. And one more task we have to include is, of course, the first task, the eating the watermelon in the lab. So I put a watermelon on the table here. And then I couldn't remember if we had pineapples in the game. So last minute, I added a few pineapples around from Island Living Debug. Very Taskmastery. And eggs. Eggs we have in the game, eggs we have in Taskmaster. So put a freezer bunny egg there. And then I just put an egg on the table. Just ambiguous egg. We don't know what the task is, but there's a good chance it involves an egg. So there it is. And that is the entire Taskmaster build. Now we're going to tour it and I want to see if there's a better Taskmaster letter I can do. I started building this in Henford-on-Bagley, but I couldn't find the right lot was the problem. So I ended up building in Windenburg, which I think worked out really well. Is this basketball stinking? What? What the heck? Well, I don't know what's happening with that, but whatever. It is a debug item. Sometimes they're weird. Here we have our Taskmaster gate. We're entering the house. Can you feel the buzz of excitement? You're a new contestant. And there it is, in all its glory. Look at our boring little garage first. Do we even need to go in here? Probably not. It's not very exciting. And there it is, our little model of Brindleton Bay, and that's it. And I need to fix this foundation, apparently. Come on. All right, this part's done. Back here's done. Okay. I added another door over here, but it is covered by the curtains. And then I did add a bin. And I thought about maybe we should add, why not have as many references to specific tasks as possible? So why don't we have 5 bins for the task where they had to guess which bin the Taskmaster's assistant was in. I loved that. So they had 5 bins and they had to figure out which one he was in. So yeah, we're gonna do that. I thought that task was so fun to watch. It was so funny. And then multiple Taskmaster's assistants have said that that was the worst task because they had to sit in a bin forever and it was really uncomfortable. And I think that is totally fair. But it was really good entertainment, so I think they need to just suck it up and deal with it, I just noticed in this last episode that there was a gate here, so I'm trying to do that. Oh, okay. It'll work over here, but not over here. There's not a lot of tall gates in this game, and clearly, as you can see, the few that are big enough, we can't place there for some reason. Okay, I was gonna add a gate there. It's complicated. I'm not gonna add a gate there. I don't care. So anyways, now what else was I gonna check out? I was going to check before our tour. Let's see, this room is so busy. It's like hard to look at without the walls. So I believe I actually found this when I was looking for like a box of something. It might have just been in like general clutter. There was a box that had a white letter on top with a seal. I think we should include that somewhere, even if it's not like a prepared task. Maybe it could go in Alex's room, like he's getting ready to bring it to the next. There it is. It's perfect, but there's just not really a way to make it work in here. But what I am gonna do is I'll put this in here for Alex. I'll just put it maybe right here. Let's go back to our free camera where this tour started. Wow, look, it's the dome. It's the famous potato. It's the pool, the bathtub, the caravan. Okay, so we come in, we have the portrait of Claude/Greg. Wow, look at all these fun, weird, random things. Can't wait to get started doing tasks. Here's where they plan the task. This is it. It's one guy in one room, one room, and it's a bathroom. And we got some, oh look, is that another, guys, is that another like task looking thing? Look at that. Another possible red seal on an item. I kind of want, oh, it's on a box or something, but we're gonna pretend, okay? Wow, perfect, there's a task in there. Wow, and sometimes they have a little basket over here where they put tasks in there. Our bathroom where there's really nothing exciting, but it's there. Gotta have it. This is just a little closet. I mean, it's not really worth showing you, but I just put some clothes and bags in there to be like maybe their outfits, the contestants' outfits. Didn't even talk about outfits. Wow, I can't wait to do a task. Look at this. Don't look at the glitching coffee tables stacked on top of each other over there. Nothing to see there. Fun pictures. It only happens when I move this, so when you look like this, you can't tell. And there is the table and the task. Okay. But yeah, we didn't talk about outfits, so I don't have a whole lot to say about their outfits, but I want to talk about my outfit. I do think I would have to wear like a little bit of a costume, maybe not something crazy like, like I said, I forget names. The guy who dressed like a vampire the whole time, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing, but I don't think I would go that far. However, I do think it would be kind of fun to wear a cape. I think I would wear a cape. That's all I got to say about that. Nice long gallery wall. These are just closets. I don't know what happens if you go in there. Wow, we can see all the clothes. Hey, look at that. Okay, who needs a dressing room? Well, we don't need a dressing room because this is Alex's room. Just sad. Just perfect for what we need. And Greg's room where he writes the tasks, because we all know he writes them. And then he can come over here and sit in bed and watch them do their tasks. And then if he has to get up and go pee, he can come in here and watch them eat watermelon. That's kind of weird. Sorry about that, but you know, it just felt right. Just gotta follow my heart when I'm doing these builds. Over here we have our chicken on the shelf that is always present and used in many tasks. And our watermelon. And what's that? Is that a duck? Can't see this one. What's under there? What's that? Is that a duck? Wow. Good thing there's a task to find ducks out here. I added a few doors because there seem to be many doors going to the outside of the house, but I don't think I have the layout of like that room perfect. And this door doesn't go into the house. It's like a fake door, as we saw with the squishy sardines task and the bowling ball. They've done other stuff with that door, but yeah, that door is not real. It's our beautiful stage. I don't usually like when they do tasks over here. I don't know. It doesn't usually end up great. Oh, there's the cake you can sit on. It's a basketball hoop and our statue of Greg. And a lone potato on the green. Oh, there's a cat in the tree. There's a glass of wine by the bathtub. Glass of nectar. A tiger. What is that tiger doing on the piano? Does it have a tail? We don't know. And this door is glitching, but all you have to do is like select it and that will go away. But I just want to continue the tour right now. Is that Noel Fielding? Oh no, it's a banana. Some random decorations up here, and there's our caravan view. In here we have a random little bathroom, and then in here we're looking for a cake. We're looking for a cake. Oh look, a cake we can sit on. How exciting. And that's it. That's it for the Taskmaster house. This has been a long work in progress, so I'm glad I finally finished it. And hopefully you enjoyed this build. Let me know if you would like to see the New Zealand house, because that would be like, this is pretty niche. Doing the New Zealand Taskmaster house would be really niche, so I don't know if people like want to see that, if that's something I should bother doing. Or maybe if I do it, I won't like record a video of it. I'll just do it and post it or put it in the gallery. But let me know what you want to see. Feel free to talk about anything Taskmaster in the comments or with me at any time, because it's very important to me and we should always be talking about it. So that's it for the Taskmaster house. I think that if this were a task, I would be winning. I think I deserve a gold head of someone, even if it's not Greg, just to commemorate this moment. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!